Hi, welcome to the small shed. This week on the Cyclekart I want to make a start on the tail section. See you in a minute. Now it's probably a bit premature, but I'd always generally said I wouldn't start the tail until I got the thing running and everything was in a place where I wanted it to be, so that I could make sure that the tail fitted over it. But I think there's come a point where I want to make a start on it, because that point at which everything will fit inside it is not going to happen for a long time. I'm going to change the exhaust, I'm going to change the carburettor at some point. They will have to be changed to get the back end narrower, but that's not going to happen in the next few months, and I would like to make a start on getting the tail finished, or started indeed, and I can probably adapt if I run into problems later on. So let's make a start and see how we go about doing it. I've been down at Mending Sheds this morning and I've made myself a kit of parts on the big bandsaw down there for the tail section. This is to make a well, it's not a mould, it's basically a plug that I'm going to cover in glass fibre cloth and resin, and then hopefully strip out the inside afterwards, so that we've just left with the shell. I'm not going to make a mould like I did with the nose, because as you'll see in a minute it becomes quite big and it's the sort of thing I don't really need for a one-off. I've got two pieces like that cut. I've got to still got to do a lot of refining yet on this, but that is in essence the plan section, which I've got off my drawings. That is the side elevation, which again I've got off my drawings. And if I put those two together, like that and like that, bit of work done on it to get the section right. And then I've got a back of the cockpit there, section there, which is where the headrest goes. And if I put all that lot together and glue it all up, that should give me pretty much the main tail section shape. Obviously these bits will all have to be moulded to suit, or shaped to suit, and what I've tried to do is to split it into the sections which are basically flat and the sections which are curved. Now this is only curved in one plane, apart from a little bit of fettling that will have to happen on the tail. So I'm going to get some 3mm ply and just apply to those sections like that on both sides, up to like a deck level there, and then these top areas will be filled with foam, and probably, well, the sides go straight down to the ground effectively, and they'll be cut out around the axle and things like that when it's finished. But this will be the only amount where I've got to do some shaping, and at that point I'll probably resort to like the foam or something like that and put in there, and then I can shape all of that, smooth it over like I did before on the nose cone with plaster, and hopefully get a pretty convincing shape. This has got to be the size of the inside of the mould, if you like, so I'm having to sort of take a bit of a guess that the glass fibre will be about 2 or 3 millimeters thick. And because I'm now going to clad this with some plywood, I've just got to take these down by another 2 or 3 millimeters to allow the plywood to stick onto it. So I'm going to take that opportunity to just refine these shapes a bit. They're a bit bumpy at the moment and a little bit out of line. So I've just taken one section, drawn the outside on it. I'm just going to refine that, smooth it down, take the 3mm off it, and then I can use that as a template for all 4 pieces and swap them side for side, and know that we'll have something that's symmetrical and the right width, because as I say, I've got to shift the whole thing down about 6mm. This tail area here, obviously, because you're coming into a lot of shaping, the straight pieces will come to probably about here somewhere, and then there'll have to be a little bit of cutting away to get some foam in that back section there as well. But I didn't want to go too low with this section, that it made it more or less pointless to have. So that's where we are at the moment. I'm just going to, as I say, refine all these shapes, cut them down a bit, and we can then start and glue this up. Right, that's got the top bit sorted to the right profile, I think. It's all a bit guesswork at the moment. I might get that profile and just put it in down here, because that is where the thing stays flat, whereas up here it'll all start to curve away, and I'll probably have to cut the plywood away or bend it slightly differently. We'll see when we get there. I've just been thinking I was going to glue all this together and make a good job of it, if you like, but thinking about it, because this is all going to have to be stripped out from inside the finished shell, what I think I'll do is to screw these vertical formers in from the back and just tack these with hot glue gun, I think, because it'll then make it relatively easy to unscrew the back, pull it off, and then get at these to pull them out backwards along with all the covering, and hopefully strip the mould out more easily. We'll see. I don't know, but it just seems a bit pointless to make it into a really solid lump if it's going to cause me a problem later on. So I'm just going to tack all this together, and then we'll start and measure for the curved panels that are going on the side, and how we're going to deal with it. I think what I shall do is take the whole thing right down to the ground at that level and worry about this under tray area afterwards, because again it'll be a retrofit on the bottom of the tail section. That's screwed the whole thing. I've screwed it from the back, I've glue gunned it pretty much all the way around, and the whole thing is now pretty rigid anyway. So all I need to do now is start and get ready to clad the sides with the thin ply. So we'll have a go at that now and measure up, get some skins on it and see what it looks like. It means really if I can get those on, really there is only this top bit that I've got to do any massive shaping on. Now that's got me the tail sides done, and I'm quite happy with them. I've curved the back to suit the profile, and that's giving me the fairly distinctive shape that there is on the back of the tail of the 7 racer. So I'm happy that that's working well. Obviously it'll need filling and smoothing, but we're right up to about there. What I've got to sort out now is the profiles for all of this lot. And I've got, when I was doing this, I marked out roughly on the side here the line that this shoulder took. There's almost like a flat platform on top of this at that level that runs down to there, that rounds over, and then the tail unit, the headrest part, the fairing there, is on top of that. So what I want to do, I think, is to get some thin ply and take that profile there and at least lay it onto the side there to give me another sort of symmetrical point about which to get the sides right, and then I can start and do all the rest of the shaping. When I did that drawing, I just roughly sketched that line on it and put some little pinholes there when I marked it off the drawing. What I think I'll do now is to put that line on properly with a profile, mark it, and then drill straight through to the other side, and that'll give me a chance to get that platform on both sides in exactly the same shape. It won't come all the way out, it'll probably come out to about there and taper, so that I can get this curve in here and then the other section on top of that. So I think that's next. We'll have a go at that. That's ready for some foam now. I think it's pretty symmetrical, maybe a fraction high on that side, but I'm not going to worry too much because it's only there to just support stuff. If any of this happens to poke through later on, we'll just file it back. I'm just going to put some foam in, but first of all we'll wet the surfaces down a bit because the foam likes to stick to a damp surface. I've masked everywhere off as much as I can with the sheet to stop it going everywhere, because once this is on it, once it's coming out the can, it goes everywhere. Okay, got a can of foam that's been gently warming through, and I'll just put some in the tail as well. To put any in the bottom or not. Now I'll turn it upside down to do the other bit. See, I have to put this upside down, I think, don't I? Remove the caps, shake it prior to use 30 times. Turn upside down, yeah. Now I've decided on the bottom, rather than wait for the top to be finished and turn it upside down and then risk damage to that, I'm going to let gravity do the work for me. I've left a couple of very small openings there. I'm going to put it down flat. I've put tape across. I'm just going to pour the spout right down inside it and squirt the gun, and hopefully it'll fill this whole area up from above, and that'll get most of the stuff in there, so that I can just use the one can I think I'll need to just finish off these last top parts, and then I can get in down there as well. So we just finish this off, and that should get me all of the foam done that I need to get done on it. Not quite one can, 2 cans I mean. I'm going to have to put a third one on. The problem is, once you've opened a can, it's normally a problem because the nozzle's blocked up, but I can reuse that nozzle and keep the original, so I'll still have half a can. That'll be okay. Right, 24 hours in, it's now gone hard, I think, or as hard as it will go. What I'm going to do now is go round the outside edge and get the vertical profile right, run down the top and get the side plan profile right, just using basically a saw and getting bits like that. This is where it starts to get very messy and fills up the bin fairly rapidly. I'll just do that, and then when that's done I'm going to switch over to getting a mask on and putting the vacuum onto the random orbital sander, the pad sander, and have a go at it with that, I think, and see if we can get some shape into it with that. Right, that's got us pretty much there. It will need a lot more work on it still, but by and large it's now just below the surface all the way along the sides. I'll just take it back, knock it back so that it's about 5mm below the surface of the ends, and then I can start and put some plaster on it and get some shape into it. But we've got pretty much the basic shape done on the top and on the bottom. And so as we start to put the plaster on, I'll start to get a feel as to what it'll be like, and if I find areas where there's a problem I can just dig it out and put a bit more plaster back in afterwards. But we're pretty much there now, I think, with that. Right, so that's got us to a point where we've got the basic shape, I think. We can move on next time and get it finished up a bit, ready to start and lay fiberglass up on it. Hope the video was of interest. Look forward to seeing you next week when we'll be doing something different on the Cyclekart, and I hope to see you then. Bye!